Hi y'all, welcome back to Health with Samantha DPT. Today's topic is stretching. So the goal of today's video is just to go over some major muscle groups and the stretches I would do for each area. Just keep in mind that I'm just going to do a quick demo of each of these stretches, but ideally I would intend to hold these stretches for at least a minute. So the purpose of stretching usually is to increase muscle length. And there's a difference between elastic and plastic change when it comes to changing the length of something or deforming a tissue. So basically with elastic, you're stretching something and then after you're done stretching, it'll revert back to its original length. The plastic change is what we're trying to really do with stretching, and that means that you deform the tissue, meaning you lengthen it or stretch it, and then it's staying that length once you're finished. So you end up with a stretch that's more lasting. Now to do that, that usually is requiring enough force and enough time, which is really the unit that we can control a lot of when it comes to stretching. So bottom line meaning hold your stretch for at least a minute with all of these if you're really trying to make a lasting impact. But also keep in mind with stretching, you do want to feel the stretch, but you don't want it to be painful, never a sharp pain because you don't want to hurt the muscle either. All right, so all of these stretches today are things that you could do after a workout, after your muscles have already been warmed up. These are static stretches, meaning that we're holding the position. There's other forms of stretching, but I just wanted to introduce you guys to some basic ones for, again, the major muscle groups. So I'm going to start from the top of the body and then work my way down. The first region being the upper trap. So the upper trap is this area between your neck and shoulder. It tends to get really tight with stress, poor posture, and sitting at a computer or just driving for long periods of time. The best way to do it is to gently pull your head to the side. You can put your other arm behind your back if that feels okay, just for a little added stretch, and then you gently pull and you should feel a stretch right through this region. And you're trying to keep your nose and eyes facing forward. Turning the head will kind of incorporate different muscles, but the upper trap is just the basic pull to the side here with a gentle pull. Okay? You can do that on both sides with all of these. The next muscle is called the levator scapula, and it attaches from your neck, your cervical spine, to your shoulder blade. And so this one's similar to the upper trap, but this time you're looking down. Just a little turn of the nose and eyes down toward the ground, and you should feel it a little bit more behind you, behind your shoulder, right through there. Okay? All right. The next muscle we're going to talk about is the sternocleidomastoid, or the SCM. This muscle is that big strap muscle that you see in your neck right here. When it gets tight, it sometimes can cause ear pain, and it tends to get really tight again with the poor posture and the stress holding pattern. So it starts at your collarbone right through here. So you place your hands on your collarbone and you pull down gently. So that's where you're stabilizing. And then this muscle's action is to, if I was talking about my left sternocleidomastoid, it bends your head toward it and then it rotates it away. So with all stretches, basically you're doing opposite of the muscle's action. So then I would side bend away, rotate toward a little bit, and then extend my head back, and I really feel a strong stretch right through here, the front of my neck on this left side here. And I'm just kind of gently pulling down at my collarbones. And so my eyes are looking up toward the ceiling. Okay? If I was going to do the right side, stabilize, side bend away, rotate toward, and look back, and I really feel a strong pull right through here at the front of the right side of my neck. Okay? So the next region that's really important, especially for that forward rounded shoulder posture, are our pecs. There are multiple ways to stretch the pec muscles, one of them being the doorway stretch. So what that would mean is you put your arms in the door frame and then you stabilize them there and you step through, and you should feel a strong stretch at the front of your shoulders right there. You can also do that with just one side of that door frame and really getting one side of your pec muscles really stretched out. You can also do that in a corner of a room. Just put your hands on either side of the walls and step through. I have a foam roll here that you can use to help stretch your pecs. A longer one is probably easier, but this still works. You lay on it this way and just let the arms hang out to open up your chest. Okay? Okay, so those are the main ones for the upper body. We're now going to go into the mid body, and the main muscle group here I'm going to talk about is your QL, or Quadratus lumborum. It attaches from the lower part of your ribs to the top of your hips. So if I were going to stretch the right QL, I would need to side bend toward my left. And I usually do that standing at the wall. Again, there's multiple ways to get some of these muscles, but this is the typical way that I do it. For right QL, if I'm facing this way, I'll put my right foot behind my left and then reach up and over. Try not to turn my chest at all, just a straight up and over movement to really stretch my side body. And I try to pop my hip out a little bit so it's a little bit more of a stretch through here. The next muscle is going to be the TFL, the Tensor fascia latae. It does this action, so flex, abduct, and internally rotate. So I'm going to do the opposite. If I was doing the right side, I would put it behind me a little bit and a little bit across behind the left one to get extension, and then you can turn the hip out a little bit for extra rotation and adduction, and then you just kind of stick the hip out this way. You can put your hand up if you want, keep it on your hip. And that's the best way we have standing to stretch the TFL. It's a little tricky. You may have to lean into it, get a little bit more extension, pop that hip out, feel it in the front right through here. All right. Okay, so this big muscle region, the quadriceps, there's multiple ways to stretch it. I'll show you a few, depending on kind of your limitations, maybe some injuries that you have. The big thing with the quads, though, because it attaches from your hips to your knees, you got to extend your hip back, but you don't want to get too much backward bending of your spine because that's really not stretching the quads. So basically keeping the tummy tight, keeping a neutral spine, and just stretching back the leg through here and not getting a lot of lumbar extension. Just keep that in mind when you're doing quad stretching. So you could do it in standing, just kind of pulling this leg back, stretching the right quads or hip flexors here. I can also do it in side lying. So if I'm down here, pulling back, again, try not to extend my back too much, but really pulling through my femur. And the further back that you pull your knee, the more stretch you're getting of rectus femoris, one of the quad muscles. And last, I can also do the lunge technique and really stretch the front of my hip out right here. If you want to be more aggressive, grab the back foot and get a deeper stretch, adding the knee part. Okay, next big group is the back side of your leg, your hamstrings. So having some tools with you, like a block, a foam roller, or a stretching strap can be really helpful. I don't have a strap, some of you might not either, so I have a dog leash, which also can be used. Uh-oh, my dog thinks that means walk time. No, Koda. Oh, no. She might be in the video also. No, sit down. Okay, so put the leash or stretching strap on your foot and pull up to stretch the hamstrings. Having the other leg extended will make a more aggressive stretch. Have the knee locked out and pull back. You should feel a stretch through the back of your leg right through here. Flexing the foot will also get the calf. You can pull your leg across to kind of bias to the outside of the hamstrings. If that's not enough of a stretch for you, you can do the same thing but have the raised leg in a doorway so that you can scoot all the way down to the door and really have the wall stretching your leg. You can also do this in this position. So if you want to do your quad and then switch back to hamstrings, you can do that. If you're not comfortable getting on the ground, you can raise your leg on a chair and lean forward as much as is comfortable and relatively pain-free. Okay, so let's go into the hips a little bit more. There's a few stretches you can do for hip internal rotators and some of the glute muscles back here. This first one is just called Faber forward. you lay on your back, and you can either keep this foot that you're stretching on the inside of your knee or bring it to the top. Let this hip open up to get a nice stretch on the inside of this hip here. Okay, I can then raise this knee if that's enough of a stretch. Just pushing on the outside for piriformis. This is a glute muscle back here. You can keep that. You can make it more aggressive by pulling this leg in and pushing this leg out. Koda, come over here. Come here. Sorry, guys. All right, demo on this side for the right side. You can also do this in sitting. Take it back, pull this leg in, push this one out. Feel a nice deep stretch right through here. Okay. More aggressively, we can do a pigeon stretch like this, getting the right glutes with this one. If I want to make it a little bit more aggressive, I can bring this foot up so it's more at 90 degrees and then lower down as much as feels comfortable. Okay. Alrighty, getting down to the lower leg here. Got a calf stretch. Come here, baby. Come here. Strap on the foot, bring it back. I flex the foot towards you, keeping the knee locked out. You can also do it standing against the wall, so I keep my foot heel planted and then lean into the stretch. Okay? So from the side, hold onto the wall, keep the heel down, lean forward. You can also stretch a deeper muscle called the soleus that's in your calf by bending the knee and then doing the same thing, keeping the heel on the ground. Awesome. Okay, so those are the main muscle groups to stretch. For the bottom of the foot, you can also put the toes on the wall and lean forward. You could do it manually by just bringing your great toe back this way. All right, I'll show you like this. So this is also another stretch you can do, standing figure 4, but you bring your big toes back that way. And those are the main muscle groups I'm going to cover today. There's a few additional stretches that are just for fun that I'd like to show you. Come here, Koda, come here. All right, so the child's pose stretch. Just get a nice shoulder extension, little lumbar flexion stretch. You can bias it to one side, kind of get through the lats a little bit more. You can also do thread the needle, in which you're kind of rotating an arm up and then bring it down under. Get a nice stretch through the back side of your shoulder, some posterior capsule stretch as well. Butterfly. Get a little adductor inner thigh stretch right through here. You can do straddle, lean forward, side to side. And then you can do a spinal twist stretch, such as this. Be careful with spinal twist stretching in case you do have some back pain or a lumbar disc issue. Rotation is not necessarily safe for the back, so be mindful with that one. Maybe check with your clinician first. But that's my brief overview of some stretches of major muscle groups from head to toe. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel in order to see more videos like this. If you have any topic ideas or things you'd like to know more about, please feel free to message and comment. Thank you for watching, and happy stretching.